Welcome to the Purple Elephant Show. I am your host, KC Phoenix, and it is Sunday. All right. Housekeeping. The housekeeping will be a little bit longer today. Also, if you noticed, I'm sitting where I usually do my political thoughts. When I do the Purple Elephant Show on the weekend, I usually do it sitting at my table with the blinds behind me. But during the week, in the morning, I do my political thought, record it, and it's usually right here. The reason that I'm sitting here right now is because I'm only doing one episode today. And I will unpack that before I go into what this episode is about. First thing, thepurpleelephantshow.com. That is the main podcasting platform. If you want to follow on social media, The Purple Elephant Show on Parler, so we can parlay. The Purple Elephant Show on Instagram, facebook.com/ The Purple Elephant Show. Swing by the page, give a like and follow, and then you will know when I upload new episodes, which The Purple Elephant Show is a weekend show, but I do my political thought during the week as a supplement to The Purple Elephant Show, but all still under the same umbrella. Twitter at real TPES for that. All the social media stuff out the way. Now, another thing to unpack. For those who shop, I found this very interesting. On my other channel, if you listen to my other channel, which is, I don't talk about politics on my other channel, Keeping It Real with KC, KIRWKC.com is the main podcasting platform. I explained to my listeners how I broke all of my bowls yesterday. Or wait a second, today's Sunday. So no, yeah, that was yesterday because I did episodes yesterday too. So yeah. Yesterday, and I broke all of my bowls. So when I was at Target today, I went to buy some new bowls, and I found these, as you can see here, and I think they're lovely cereal bowls. And one thing that stuck out was made in Indonesia, which I'm fine with that, because every single one that said made in China, I put it back down. If it was made in China, I was like, no. And actually, I found out I was looking at some of the other ones. One of the ones, they were made in France, out of all places. I didn't even know France shipped bowls to Target. But yes, France, they make bowls in France and send them to Target. So now you know, that's in the supply. Now, but anything that had made in China, as soon as I looked at it, I put it right back down. And I bought, because these are the cereal bowls, and I bought the soup bowls as well, which can be used for soup or salad, as you know. So I got those. And I just wanted to throw that in there. Target did not pay me to do this. It's just anytime I can give people information on how not to buy things made in China, I'm the first one to show up. Because if you follow my show, my podcast, you know how I feel about China right now. All right, so that's unpacked. The reason I'm not doing more episodes this weekend, because usually I do a minimum of 3 episodes on the weekend, along with the 5 political thoughts during the week. I'm not doing any episodes this weekend outside of this one because, one, none of the stuff is speaking to me at all. Anytime I do a political thought or I do an episode, it's because it's something that I want to talk about. It isn't because it's something that I feel will get likes or views or listens or whatever, because I don't do this for that. I don't have to do this for that. The things that strike my interest that I think people might be interested in hearing about is what I like to discuss. I don't discuss things just to get attention, if that makes sense. I hope. I discuss things really to get things off my chest and also to inform people of what is happening. However, over this past week, it's the same stuff over and over and over again. There's been a few things. I can give you a quick breakdown. Let me give you the highlights. One, over 30 kids were found in Georgia, which why the media isn't covering that, I don't know. They're covering it a little bit, but they're not covering it that much. But over 30 missing kids were found. I don't know the exact amount. It was 30 something, but I don't know the exact amount. I know it was over 30. You can do your search, look it up, find it. That happened, which is great that the missing kids were found. I'm very happy about that. That's just not something that I really want to discuss for a few reasons. And I'm not going to go into that. Another thing, United States and China still doing its thing. China is doing stuff to Taiwan, agitating people and doing other things as usual. United States is trying to agitate Russia by flying over B-52 bombers through Europe as a signal to Russia to let them know, hey, we're serious. Yeah, that was going on. DNI Ratcliffe has told Congress, hey, I'm not about to give you all the information because you keep leaking information, which this isn't new. They've been leaking since President Trump has been in office. Why would I want to talk about that? I don't. What else has been happening? They're going after Secretary Pompeo because of his participation in the RNC events. This isn't the first time they're going after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who is one of my favorite people, if not my favorite person in the Trump administration. But they're going after him again. This isn't new. They're talking about holding him in contempt as well. Congress is saying that. I don't want to talk about it. I don't. Trying to think. Portland. Riots have been going on in Portland for over 2 months now. I don't want to talk about it. Yes, somebody was gunned down because they allegedly either supported the president or they supported police officers. It's one of the two. You can look more into it. Someone who did cover it was Tim Pool. You can go to Tim Pool's channel, check it out, see what Tim Pool says. He gets down into the weeds, into the details and all that stuff. Honestly, I'm kind of over it. I'm sort of over this Portland thing. I'm over the media not covering things the way they should be covered. And the only reason they're starting to cover the riots now and the looting and chaos and unrest is because Don Lemon specifically said it's starting to show up in the poll numbers. If it wasn't showing up in the poll numbers, the media would not be talking about the violence right now. And regardless of however they talk about it going forward, they will always try to spin it as if it's President Trump's fault. I don't feel like dealing or covering that. There are probably, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan is stepping down due to health reasons. That's another thing. And I thought he was really cool. And I actually, even though he is more of a liberal on the left side, I wouldn't really call him left, but he definitely isn't a conservative prime minister. I will say that it seemed like him and President Trump had a decent relationship. So I hate that he's stepping down because now it's like, okay, well, who will President Trump deal with? And I didn't want to talk about that either. And when I talk about stuff on my episodes for the show, or if I do a political thought, as I mentioned before, I like to talk about one specific thing. I don't like to be all over the place Because if someone wants to hear about, I'll just use as an example, Prime Minister Abe, that might be interesting to them. But they may be burnt out on hearing about Portland riots. That could be in a totally separate thing. So they can pick and choose what they want to listen to. That's why I try to keep my subjects to just one thing, so my listeners and my viewers can pick and choose what they want, what is of interest to them, instead of me cramming a whole bunch of subjects together and putting them in one episode or one political thought during the week, so that's why I just try to do one subject at a time. But with this housekeeping, I'm letting you know I know all of these things that are going on, and even more, because I'm constantly taking in information, which is one reason why I'm more than likely burnt out over certain subjects, whether it comes to leaking, whether it comes to Portland, whether it comes to the media not covering things, whether it comes to Trump supporters or conservatives being assaulted, whatever, in which the RNC had a great viewership too, which, as some of you may know, C-SPAN was 6 times higher than the DNC, which the reason for that is because C-SPAN didn't do all the commentary. And that traces back to the media, how whatever is going on, if it's related to President Trump or related to Republicans, the media will try to spin it and add all of this extra stuff that doesn't need to be added, instead of letting the people listen and determine for themselves what's real, what's not, what's missing, what's there. And that's why it was higher on C-SPAN, because a lot of people are just tired of it. So, and again, for those who don't know, 80% of the media are registered Democrats. 80%. That is a fact. Just like 80% of black people don't want to defund the police in a poll. That is also a fact. So, speaking of black people, President Trump's approval rating, I forgot which poll it was, but as I mentioned before in one of my old episodes, the polls will never be right when it comes to President Trump. You can thank the media for that. His support among black people has went up and is estimated between, I believe, is 18 and 24% is the estimate. I think he's going to get 20% during the election, though. I think he's going to get, if he got less than 15%, I would be shocked if he got less than 15% during the election. But I honestly think he's going to get a minimum of 20% during the election. So all of these things are going on. I just don't feel like expanding on them and talking about them because I'm tired. Because it's the same stuff over and over and over again. The hurricanes that happened, or Hurricane Laura that hit Louisiana and Texas. Of course, President Trump was down there speaking. Texas said they got all of the stuff that they needed. Same thing with Louisiana. They said it's been like night and day compared to other administrations. So that's good. Again, most of the stuff that's going on when it's related to politics, I already know about it. I just don't want to talk about it today. I just don't. There's only one thing that came across I'll call it my personal news feed, and came across my eyes, where I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about that. And then that'll be the only episode I do for this weekend. Now that the housekeeping is out the way, let me go ahead and get into this episode. For Brandon Straka, when he left the RNC convention at the White House, he ran into some BLM supporters. They said they support BLM. He was physically assaulted. It was assault and battery. Something was thrown at him, and his friends were also assaulted. And during that process of the assault, they hurled a slur at him too. So that that is what really irritated me. When it comes to people and their beliefs, I always tell people, believe what you want to believe. I've met people from many different walks of life. If you want to be a socialist and you think socialism is the way to go, I don't agree with you, but if that's what you believe, fine, whatever. If you think conservatism or whatever, pick something. I don't care what you believe because it's your right to believe it, is what I'm saying. When you say your platform is to fight inequality, specifically for Black people, and inequality is the thing that you believe is a large problem in society, and you have an encounter with someone you don't agree with, and not only do you assault the individual, you throw a slur at the individual that is used by people who are not for equality. Do you understand how that looks? Do you think that helps your cause? Because it doesn't. It really doesn't help it doesn't help your cause at all. You physically attacked this person and his friends, and you threw a slur at him, which is considered hate speech. But you're saying you want equality. Do you know how crazy you sound? It's almost like the people who were yelling and attacking Senator Rand Paul and saying, say her name for Breonna Taylor, when Rand Paul was the person who actually crafted legislation to stop no-knock raids because of Breonna Taylor. So he was on their side and they were attacking him. But they were too misinformed to know the person that they were attacking was the same person who crafted legislation to help with what they were talking about, because they don't do their research. Because again, it goes back to what I said. When people are emotionally destabilized, their critical thinking is suspended. Now, with the Brandon Straka situation, it irritates me, not necessarily the word, because I've been called that word plenty of times. So many times I can't even count, and I don't care. I've been called worse. What irritates me, like I said before, is that you're putting yourself out there on a platform of equality. But when it comes to insults, and you can insult people, it's America. We insult people all the time. Have you ever taken a cab in New York? It's fine. But the first thing out of your bag of insults was that slur. You didn't call him misinformed. You didn't call him an idiot. You didn't call him, full of drama or any other. There are so many adjectives and so many other things within the English language that you could have called him, but you chose to call him that one word. What does that say about you and your platform of equality? What does it say about you? That in your bag of insults, that's the first one you went to. You didn't skip down to like the 10th or even the 5th. That's the first one you went to. And I'm tired of these people talking about equality, but then as soon as someone disagrees with them, they pull out certain slurs that show, or they pull out certain, or they say certain things that show they don't believe in equality, that show they are the devils that they are saying the other side is. They didn't even approach him to have a conversation. Because I'm sure if you would have approached Brandon Straka to have a conversation and said, hey, you just left the RNC thing with the president. Why on earth do you support that reprobate? And then he would have went to explain, okay, this, and that. And they could have had a debate, a discussion, and come to an understanding as to why he believes what he believes and why they believe what they believe. I promise you, they probably don't even know that President Trump funded HBCUs. They probably don't even know that. I'd be willing to guarantee it. They probably don't know that he funded more HBCUs than the previous administration with the black president. Just like those people harassing and attacking Rand Paul didn't know he was the one who crafted legislation because of what happened to Breonna Taylor. But these people attacking Brandon Straka, they knew to use that slur. They sure knew to use that. Just like when people who are black or of other colors step forward and say the good things that the president has done or a good thing that a conservative has done, and then the other side will pull out a slur. Just like Deborah Messing was retweeted one time about, you have to be, if you're black and you vote for Trump, you have to be stupid. Which there's a lot of ways you could dissect that retweet. As if we're supposed to be a monolith, sort of like what Joe Biden said. There isn't much difference between the black community versus the Latino community. When he did that interview, or when he spoke to Charlemagne the God and said, if you have to figure out who you're voting for, then you ain't black. As if all black people think alike, act alike. I guess we look alike. I've heard I had a twin here and there. As if we're all the same. And we can't take in information and determine what is best for us. It's just monkey see, monkey do. And yes, I meant for that to be a double entendre. So, with Brandon Straka's situation, that is a prime example. Those people who attacked him and then used that slur. That was their first go-to of words out of all the insults in the English language. That was their first go-to. Just like for certain other people, when someone of color doesn't agree with them and their quote unquote quest for equality, they have certain phrases and certain slurs that are their first go-to. So it really makes me wonder, who are the real bigots and racists here? Because they showed who they are. And the media also shows who they are too, once again, because it's hardly being covered in the media. The media, now if that had been the other way around, if that had been someone who was conservative leaning and they physically assaulted someone who was with BLM, threw a can at their face and did other things and then hurled a slur at them, it would be nonstop coverage on CNN. Just like Jussie Smollett, which I don't know if they found those people or not, but I guess they're still looking. It just amazes me how people are silent on this. And if they would have just had a conversation with him to say, why are you supporting the president? One reason some people in the LGBT community might support the president is because the Trump administration has been pushing for worldwide decriminalization of homosexuality, because in certain countries it's criminal to be gay. But this current administration is pushing other countries to decriminalize. That's one of the reasons why I won't go to Middle Eastern countries. I would love to go to Dubai. From what I see, Dubai is gorgeous. And I've talked to people who are LGBT and they say they haven't had any issues. But also I've heard other stories of people who have visited and had issues. So it's like, why take a chance? I'd rather have a law on the books saying this isn't an issue. It isn't criminal to be who you are. And the same thing with countries in Africa. I would love to see certain countries in Africa, but there are countries in Africa where it's illegal to be gay. But this administration is pushing other countries to end that. And some more food for thought. In the 2016 election, it's estimated that 10 to 13% LGBT people voted for the president. And I believe it. I believe it. But it just disturbed me that out of all the insults they could throw at Brandon Straka and his friends, out of all the insults, it's not the word. Like I said, I've been called the word more times than I can count, easily over 100 times. And I've been called worse. Words don't bother me. I couldn't care less. It's that they went straight to that word. That's what irritates me when they're saying they're standing on the platform of equality. And the media should hold them accountable for that. Just like if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be running coverage back to back. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not talking about too much today, because the media is garbage. It's always been garbage and it will always be garbage. The media, those people live in a bubble. They don't see what's really going on. Or if they do see it, they hide it. They sweep it under the rug. Because if it doesn't further their agenda, then they will not put it up front. They won't do what real journalists do and put everything out there, good, bad, or indifferent. That's what real journalists do. And they're not real journalists. They're a marketing arm of the Democrats, period. It isn't up for debate. This isn't multiple choice. This isn't an essay. It's period. And I'm just going to leave my show at that for this episode of the Purple Elephant Show today. Like I said, I'm just doing this one episode today. Thank you to those who have been supporting the show. I really appreciate it, that have been listening to the podcast and listening to my political thought during the week. And I will start those back up on Monday. So yeah, and hopefully next weekend I'll do 3 episodes of the Purple Elephant Show. But for right now, I'm taking a break for today, is what I'm doing. ThePurpleElephantShow.com, The Purple Elephant Show, Parler, Facebook, Instagram, at Real TPS, TPES, Twitter, or Twitter. And that's all I got. Be blessed.